For thousands of years, ancient wisdom lived quietly inside temples, handwritten scrolls, and the memories of elders. It taught patience in a hurried world, balance in times of excess, and humility before nature's vast power. Philosophers spoke of harmony, monks practiced mindfulness, and scholars believed true knowledge began with knowing oneself. Meanwhile, modern technology grew in the opposite direction. It moved fast, loud, and relentlessly forward. Algorithms replaced intuition, speed replaced stillness, efficiency replaced reflection. Humanity gained extraordinary tools, but slowly lost the habit of listening. What if these two worlds finally met? Imagine a near future where artificial intelligence is not trained only on data, numbers, and productivity metrics, but also on ancient texts from Confucius, Laozi, Aristotle, Buddha, and Stoic philosophers. Instead of asking, how can we optimize this? Technology begins to ask, is this wise? Smart cities no longer measure success only by economic output, but by collective well-being. Sensors track pollution, yes, but also stress levels. Digital assistants don't just remind people of meetings, they suggest moments of rest, reflection, or gratitude. A notification appears. You've been working for 3 hours. Ancient monks believe clarity comes after stillness. Would you like to pause? Education changes as well. Students still learn coding and engineering, but they also study ancient ethics alongside machine learning. A lesson on neural networks is paired with a discussion on responsibility. Technology stops being neutral, it becomes intentional. Healthcare systems integrate ancient practices with modern diagnostics. Wearable devices monitor heart rate while guiding breathing techniques inspired by centuries-old meditation. Hospitals use AI to diagnose illness, but also design recovery spaces based on principles of natural harmony found in ancient architecture. Even leadership evolves. CEOs and politicians use decision support systems that analyze not only outcomes, but long-term moral consequences. Before approving a project, the system presents insights from historical wisdom, how similar choices once shaped civilizations, for better or worse. In this world, technology no longer dominates humanity. It serves as a bridge, connecting the speed of the future with the depth of the past. The question is no longer whether we can build something, but whether we should. And for the first time in centuries, progress begins to feel human again. As ancient wisdom merges with modern technology, society begins to change in subtle but profound ways. People notice they are no longer merely reacting to machines, they are dialoguing with them. Technology becomes a mirror, reflecting humanity's deepest values rather than amplifying its worst impulses. Social media platforms evolve. Instead of rewarding outrage and endless scrolling, Algorithms, guided by ethical philosophies, prioritize meaningful conversations. Content that encourages empathy, understanding, and self growth rises naturally to the surface. Users are gently reminded before responding, take a breath. Ancient thinkers believed words shape reality. Work culture transforms as well. Productivity tools no longer glorify burnout. Inspired by ancient cycles of rest and renewal, companies design schedules that respect human energy. AI systems recommend work rhythms aligned with natural focus patterns, reminding teams that sustainable effort outperforms relentless pressure. Environmental technology undergoes a similar awakening. Ancient civilizations lived with deep respect for nature, understanding that imbalance leads to collapse. Modern systems finally listen. Smart agriculture blends satellite data with traditional farming wisdom. Cities grow vertically, but also breathe, covered in greenery, water pathways, and spaces for silence. On a personal level, people rediscover purpose. With technology handling routine tasks, individuals have time to ask meaningful questions. Who am I? What matters? How should I live? Digital mentors trained on centuries of philosophical thought guide users through life decisions, not with commands, but with reflective questions. Even conflict resolution changes. AI mediators analyze disputes using principles from ancient justice systems, prioritizing fairness, restoration, and harmony over punishment. Wars become harder to justify when technology constantly reminds leaders of historical consequences and human cost. This fusion does not reject innovation, it refines it. Power is balanced by wisdom, speed is guided by intention, knowledge is anchored in meaning. Perhaps the greatest change is internal. People begin to feel less controlled by their devices and more supported by them. Technology becomes a companion, not a master. Ancient wisdom, once dusty and distant, becomes alive again, encoded not just in books, but in the systems shaping daily life. And so, humanity finally answers an old question with a new voice. The future is not about choosing between tradition and innovation. It is about weaving them together so progress moves forward without forgetting where it came from. As the fusion of ancient wisdom and modern technology matured, a quiet transformation began inside people themselves. Life was no longer dominated by constant urgency. The relentless pressure to be faster, louder, and endlessly productive slowly faded. In its place grew something unfamiliar to modern society: presence. Homes became sanctuaries again. Smart living systems adjusted lighting, sound, and temperature, not just for comfort, but for emotional balance. In the mornings, walls displayed short reflections drawn from ancient teachings, simple reminders about patience, kindness, and impermanence. Even children grew up hearing ideas once spoken only in temples and academies, now gently woven into daily routines. Technology also changed how people related to time. Instead of obsessing over minutes and deadlines, AI planners encouraged long-term thinking. Life was viewed in seasons, not schedules, an idea borrowed from ancient civilizations that understood growth requires cycles of effort and rest. People stopped measuring success only by milestones and began valuing inner stability. Relationships deepened. Communication tools no longer promoted impulsive reactions. Before sending emotionally charged messages, users were offered a moment of reflection. Ancient wisdom taught that words could heal or destroy, and technology finally respected that power. Conflicts still happened, but they resolved faster, with more understanding. In education, learning became a lifelong journey rather than a race. Elders, once overlooked, became valued mentors again. Their lived experience was digitized respectfully, preserving lessons that no textbook could capture. Youth learn not only how to build the future, but how to avoid repeating past mistakes. Spirituality, once pushed aside by scientific dominance, found a new role, not as superstition, but as inner technology. Meditation, contemplation, and ethical inquiry were recognized as essential skills for navigating a complex world. Machines handled complexity, humans focused on meaning. People began to notice something extraordinary. Despite living in a world more advanced than ever, they felt calmer, more connected, and less alone. Progress no longer demanded sacrifice of the soul. For the first time in history, humanity wasn't just advancing, it was maturing. Generations later, historians looked back at this era as a turning point, the moment humanity chose wisdom over excess, balance over domination. Ancient civilizations once fell because their power outpaced their understanding. This time, technology remembered the lesson. Global systems were designed with restraint. Artificial intelligence governed resource distribution with principles inspired by ancient fairness doctrines. No region thrived at the cost of another. Growth was no longer infinite, it was sustainable, intentional, and shared. Exploration continued, reaching beyond Earth into space. But even there, ancient wisdom traveled with humanity. Before colonizing new worlds, ethical simulations ran through centuries of philosophical debate. The question was not, can we claim this planet, but how do we coexist with it? Human identity evolved. People no longer defined themselves solely by careers or achievements. They were thinkers, caretakers, creators, and learners. Technology freed time, but wisdom taught how to use it well. Art flourished. Silence was respected. Community regained meaning. Children grew up fluent in both code and compassion. They understood that intelligence without empathy was dangerous, and power without humility was fragile. Their tools were advanced beyond imagination, yet their values echoed voices from thousands of years ago. Perhaps the greatest achievement was invisible. Fear diminished. When people trusted that systems were guided by ethical memory, not just profit or control, they felt safe enough to be curious again. Innovation became joyful, not desperate. And so the future unfolded, not as a cold, mechanical world, nor as a return to the past, but as something new, a civilization where ancient wisdom lived inside modern technology, quietly guiding decisions, reminding humanity who it had always been. The final lesson was simple, yet timeless. True progress is not how far we go, but how deeply we understand ourselves along the way.